filters inside of the administration of Google Analytics are required because they filter your data and they process it so that you can have cleaner, less polluted analytics. All of this and more right after this break. Welcome back. Today's advanced video tutorial about Google Analytics will talk about filters. Let's head into the administration and go into views and scroll down into filters. I don't have filters at the moment, but one thing to note is that we can use filters for pretty much anything. One of the important things to do with filters is to start setting them up right in the beginning. Because filters are not retroactive, it's important that we apply any of these filters as early as we can. If you do it after a month, all the previous data will not include the filtered view. So it's important to do it right at the beginning. What are some of the filters that we can apply to Google Analytics? I'll tell you my favorite ones and the ones that I think are essential to every website, no matter what business you are in, what website you're running. One of the things that I really hate when I look at Google Analytic reports is when I see that the URL has a mix of upper and lowercase letters. So my first and most essential filter is to convert all of the URI into lowercase. So even if somebody types in an uppercase or a combination of lower and upper, you'll still see all lowercase inside of your view. And that's important because if you do so, then the pages that look different with upper and lowercase will be combined together, and that's exactly what you need to do. You should not treat them separately. So let's start by creating our first filter, and that is what I call, let's start by clicking on Add Filter. I like to call it Force URI to Lowercase. The URI is anything after the domain name. So for example, if you have webawk.com/newsletter, newsletter is a URI, and that is what we are interested in converting into lowercase. So I start here by clicking on Custom, and then I say lowercase. Let's select the field that we're interested in. I just talked about it right now. It's the request URI. Let's verify this. This filter would not have changed your data. Why is that? Because my domain name, all of my links within my website has been linked or hard-coded into lowercase. So I know that I don't have a problem with this, but if you do, then make sure that you apply this and save it. I scroll up and I see it right here, Force URI to lowercase. Let me talk about another important filter. I'm not really sure if I have a special video about UTM codes, but I think I might have to do another advanced video for UTM codes and explain not only what they do, but how to use them. A lot of people have confusion around UTM codes. In a nutshell, for the sake of making it simple for this example, UTM codes are parameters or query parameters which are specific to Google Analytics and Google AdWords. There are a bunch of them. There is one which is called UTM source. There is one that is called UTM medium. We also have UTM campaign. We also have UTM term and UTM content. So what are these? What are they supposed to mean? Well, each one means something in different contexts. And they are supposed to give us some information about how the user got to a specific page or landed on a specific page on our website. So when we put initiatives out there, let's say when we try to advertise, let's say in Google AdWords, in that case, the medium would be considered as CPC for click per cost or cost per click, and the source, the UTM source, would be considered Google. And obviously you can add extra parameters. For example, if you're advertising for a particular campaign, then the UTM campaign would include the name of your campaign. The UTM content, or what is found inside of Google Analytics as ad content, this is where you put a little bit more details into what type of campaign it is. And if you want to get into more details, you can use the UTM term. Now, what happens is most of these UTM codes get linked on various pages by just being hard-coded. And sometimes your marketer or the person who's creating those UTM codes for you mistakenly use lowercase or uppercase. Let's say your campaign is star. Then sometimes they write the UTM campaign as capital S. Other times they use lowercase. And if you don't apply filters in that case as well, what will happen is there will be confusion in Google Analytics, and those two will be treated separately, and you'll have all sorts of problems. So one way of treating this is to add a filter for each of the UTM source, the UTM medium, the campaign, the ad content, and also the term. So let's get it done, and let's get it out of our way. I'll show you how to do them one by one very quickly. I start by adding the first one, which I would like to call force campaign source to lowercase. Again, it's of type custom. And the field that we are going to deal with here is nothing but campaign source. You can find it right here. And I'm going to choose, sorry, I made a small mistake. I actually should have clicked on the lowercase first. Select field, it's campaign source, and then I can save it. Perfect, it's created. Let me do another one for the campaign medium, which is relevant into UTM underscore medium. Again, create a new filter. I'm calling it force campaign medium to lowercase. It's custom, lowercase, select field. You can type here medium and it'll populate it for me. Save. Excellent. Moving on. I want to do the campaign name, so I'll call it force campaign name to lowercase. Notice how we should be consistent in the way we name our filters as well. So again, going to custom, lowercase, select field, you can say campaign, and you should find campaign name, save it. Would like to have two more. Force campaign content to lowercase. Lowercase, select field. You can type content. You'll see here campaign content. That's done. I'm left with one more, which is force campaign term to lowercase. Custom, lowercase, select field. If you type term, you'll see here campaign term. Save it. That's excellent. Now, if you'd like to do the same for other things as well, there are tons of things that you can turn into lowercase, including the search terms that you get from Google. Let's see if we can do that. Force search keyword to lower. And all I have to do is do custom, again lower. What can I do? Can I do search? Perfect, search term. So maybe I can change this instead of search keyword. Let me call it search term to lowercase. That way we are consistent with our naming. All right, there you go. We have created all these, and all of these are important. You probably don't want to miss any of those. There might be others too. Let me look at my list. I have noted down some of the things that I would like to add. We've done the content. There you go. There is one that is essential in my opinion, which is regarding spam. Sometimes we get spam through our campaign sources. Unfortunately, hackers always find new ways of injecting their domain names into our Google Analytics. Sometimes they do that by injecting it into the language, and that is something new, relatively new. For the past couple of years, there have been a few websites that have been injecting their domain name through the language field. But one of the more traditional ways that has been occurring in the past is doing it through the campaign source. It doesn't happen that often, but if you want, we can add it right now. Let's do that. What I like to call it is block spam from campaign source. So, how does it work? Again, it's custom. Here is where it's slightly different. I would say exclude this case because I would like to exclude campaign source when campaign source include these malicious domain names. And you can Google online, there are tons of domain names that have been blacklisted, so you can attach all those domains right here and you can separate them by pipe. So for example, this is one website, let's say website analyzer.info. Then you put a pipe to add another domain, which is on the blacklist, monetizationking.net, for example, and etc., etc. And once you're done, you can save it. Obviously, this is not an extensive list of blacklisted domains. If you would like me to include that list, let me know. You can sign up for a free account with webawk.com, and I will share privately those files with you guys in order to make sure that your GA is always as clean as you can and as less polluted from spam and data that is just exploding in there. So it's important that we add as many filters as we can. Let me see if I have any other notes. There is another one too. This one is important. I don't know if I should actually dedicate a special episode for it because it's in relation to cross domains. So basically, if you own more than one domain and you want to link both of them to the same account in Google Analytics, there is one filter that you need to include. Let me explain it in words first. Let's say I have the website webawk.com. But I also have another subdomain, which is newsletter.webawk.com or even info.webawk.com. And if I would like to display info.webawk.com in the Google Analytic reports, just because the main domain and the subdomain might have pretty much the same folder structure. For example, let's say they both have a blog. How would I know if /blog means the one coming in from info.webawk or if it's coming from the main domain? So what I generally do is I add a filter, and that filter would look for info.webawk.com and make sure to prepend it to the page URL in the report itself. And I do that only for the subdomains. My main domain, which is webawk.com, I keep it not visible in my reports just because it's kind of driving most of the traffic. But for the other subdomains, it might be a useful idea to include this, to prefix your subdomain completely to the URI so that you know more where that page lives. So let's do that. Let's do that for info.webawk.com. I'm going to add a filter. What I will call it here is show subdomain host names, and I will make sure to specify it as info, so I know that it's for info. All right, and I would like to go to custom, and then scroll down to advanced. And this is where I would type in the following: info.webawk.com. And then this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. So what I'm looking for is anything after the after this part, which is called the request URI. So for example, if I had info.webawk.com/music, then I'm talking here about music, and I will basically say whatever that is that comes in after the domain name or the subdomain here, the URI. What I would like to do is I would like to output it in a certain way. I would like to output it in the form of a request URI, and what I will do is I'll take the A field and I will append it to, or concatenate it with the B field here. So the logic here is you do like this, B1. That's how you should do it, and you can keep these checked. Field A is required, override output field. So basically this field will be overwritten with this one, and I can save it. Oh, we forgot something here. This should be the host name. So basically your host name, and then you have your URI. Once you're done, you can save it. There it is. Show subdomain host names. Now if I have another one, I can do pretty much the same thing. I can call it in the same fashion. For example, show subdomain host names. And this is where I will call it, for example, newsletter. Again, what I will do is I will go down here to advanced. Same thing. The only difference now here is after I select the host name, I have to say that I'm talking about newsletter.webawk.com. And then I would like the request URI. That could be pretty much anything, to be replaced with the domain or the host name, and then with the new URI. That's it, and I can save it. So now I have the info subdomain and the newsletter subdomain. Quite interesting, I'm sure. I'm sure this is useful to do, again, right at the beginning, because you don't want to be late in creating such filters. These, in my opinion, are some of the important filters that you need to create right away. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I think it's a rather long one. We created nearly 10 filters, but very important filters that all of us should have in our account. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please sign up for a free account with Webawk and give me the thumbs up. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, and I will see you in another advanced Google Analytics video. Until the new one, take care.